Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Welcome to the podcast Allah Knows Best. This is our third session, inshallah, and we are here today in the gym. We have a special guest with us today. We have Imam Abu Usama, who has joined us, inshallah, to guide us through some of the pertinent issues concerning the Muslim Ummah at this current time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Shaykh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Sam.
Alhamdulillah. So, a pleasure to have you on the pod, inshallah, Shaykh, as the first live session. Issues that are going around the world, Shaykh, especially in Palestine, concerning the Muslim Ummah. We want to give some guidance to the youth today, inshallah, revolving around Palestine and Gaza. Before we go into the question, Shaykh, just how are you finding everything at the moment? How are you feeling about it, subhanAllah?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. I think I'm feeling the way probably the vast majority of Muslims who have Iman are feeling. You know, anger, confusion as well. There are a plethora of emotions that are running through everyone. But the da'wah and the call to the community is to calm down and to navigate through these things based upon the proofs that we get from the Kitab and the Sunnah. And that's because we do not have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. So everything that's going on right now, there are lessons to take from it. But just how do I feel? I remember the first khutbah that I went to deliver in my Masjid al-Rahmah, and I had a Palestinian flag that I saw a young brother had it in Birmingham when I was taking the train to Leeds. And I took the flag with me, and I was walking down the street to the masjid, and I was really upset. I was really, really upset. And I had to talk myself down, because as the imam, as the khatib, as the muwajjih, I'm one of the last people who should allow my emotions to take over, because emotions are a problem when they're not dealt with properly.
Subhanallah. So, Shaykh, we've seen a lot of the responses, the reactions around the world, local reactions from the youngsters. Are you proud of the reactions that you're seeing, or do you think there's more to be done in terms of what we are already doing at the moment?
For me, my observations are bittersweet. They're bittersweet. And that quite naturally, the knee-jerk reaction with what's going on causes Muslims who are practicing and not practicing to be upset. So a lot of brothers and sisters who are not connected to the religion at all, no salat, no hijab, no fasting, they just have Muslim names, they have ghayra for al-Islam. This is one of the reasons we have to be very careful about making takfir and excommunicating people because of the sins or things that they're doing or they're not doing, because people have Iman in their hearts. And that's why when Usama bin Zayd, may Allah be pleased with him, killed that man after the man said, La ilaha illallah. And they were fighting one another. And Usama said, Ya Rasulullah, he just said that because we were fighting. Rasulullah said, and this is the point, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hal shaqqaqtu an qalbihi. Did you open up his heart to see if he said it with sincerity or not? Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one who looks at the reality of the hearts of people. So from that angle, it's sweet. It's a positive situation, but from the other angle, it's bitter. Throwing mice in Mickey D's, this is not da'wah Allah. This is a juvenile action. And although the person may have been sincere, dropping the F-bombs before you throw a bunch of mice that have been spray painted red, green, and white, and it's an eatery where people are eating. هذا ليس من الأدب في شيء.
So that's one reaction from the people, and that may not be correct, or that isn't correct. So how do we ensure a pro-action instead of just being reactionary? How do we know that these actions are good to react in a certain way rather than going overboard? Not hand.
Well, we have to look at our religion. This is one of the negative observations that due to the lack of knowledge in the normal, everyday Amr, Bakr, Zayd from the Muslims, Aisha, Fatima, there's a little bit of knowledge in our ummah. What's taking place right now in Palestine the way the leaders of the Muslims are disengaged for the most part. Kuffar have come together to assist the Israelis in addition to what they've been given in the way of money, in the way of arms. All of these things have been prophesied. So the Prophet told us that we would be like the foam of the ocean, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we would be divided. And all of these things. And one of the signs of the hour as well, in addition to all of this, is lack of knowledge.
Wow.
From the signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah is that knowledge of the religion will be raised from the people. So being angry, these things are natural. These are natural. Allah said in the Quran, وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَضْحَكَ وَأَبْكَى. Allah is the one who makes you cry and He makes you laugh. So if we saw a person who never laughs and he never cries, something wrong. There's something wrong with you. You can't laugh all the time. You can't cry all the time. But that's natural. So the anger that's happening right here is normal. But what we have to do is not be reactionary, have knee-jerk reactions, and we just deal with it because we have the kitab and we have the sunnah. And we never found Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam not once being reactionary in a way where it could be said he was blameworthy, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sometimes the companions would react. A companion would slap someone for something he didn't like that he said, and that, things like that, but not the Nabi. So this is what we have to do. We have to fall back to the black, relax, and let older people, more wiser people, more knowledgeable people who are not going to deal with these things just based upon emotions. We got to put our emotions to bed. Put them to bed. Put them to rest right now. I'm a da'i and I'm from Palestine. So this is touching me very closely. So I'm going to allow my emotions to take over. No, I can't do that. So I see like some of the people, we may not agree with what they're saying. You and I have spoken in details about some of the personalities who are giving dawah. Sometimes what they're saying is correct, but the way they're saying it, not taking into consideration, you got to read the room. But they say something that is correct, but I don't like his position and I don't like how he said it. So I call him a Jew. I call him a Zionist. I call him a rabbi. No, man, you're being reactionary in a way where that description that you're giving to him is a major sin. And you see yourself as being someone who is, having ghayrah for the religion, which I believe our shabab have. But that's just one of the many examples of what we're seeing, the reactions that are blameworthy.
So Sheikh, what I want to ask about the reactions that we're seeing around the world, does al-Islam, this way of life that we live, does it allow different approaches in a very complex scenario that we're in, or is it like a one-stop shop and this is the way the Prophet ﷺ did it and that's it?
Well, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the example for us. He's the qudwa, he's the uswa, he's the method. So we have to look at the mishkat, the yanbu', the well of prophecy, the Quran and the Sunnah, and the way his companions who were around him understood the different things that were happening. So I'm not going to say it's one-stop shop, you said. Sometimes a thing is one stop, the Tawheed of Allah, knowing the unseen. That's only for Allah. One-stop shop, as you said. There's no room for a second opinion or a fraction of a second of opinion. But in terms of how to deal with a particular thing, how to go about solving the problem, then that can be, a bit wider. It can be awsa. But still, it has to be something that is based back and referred back to the Kitab of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. And that's why we have the companions themselves having different opinions about how something should be dealt with. So in this case, it's complex, it's complicated, and that means just by default, it being complex and complicated, just by that, most people should disengage. Our youngsters should disengage. Stop being opinionated. You don't have to have an opinion in this issue. We have to get behind the scholars of Al-Islam, those scholars who are known for their integrity and their diyana and their knowledge and things like that. Because even that is a fitna right now. One of the things about the fitna when it comes is that the fitna, it makes al-iktishaf. It exposes the reality of a lot of things. For an example, this fitna shows us the reality of these European politicians and what they really think about us. The fitna shows us who has knowledge and who doesn't have knowledge. Some people just, emotionally just saying things off the cuff, talking out of the side of their neck. This fitna goes to show, in my opinion, the level of iman, inshallah, and fortitude of the Palestinian people, because Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't burden people beyond their scope, and they've been dealing with a lot of stuff. And some of the images that I've seen, the children, the men, the women, after something happens, the strength that they've exemplified. So it shows a lot of things. And one of the things that it shows right now is too many people are talking. Ali ibn Abi Talib said, and what was authentically, recorded from him, knowledge used to be a little dot. It was a little bit. But then people got into the circle of knowledge who don't belong in it. Now it became a lot of kalam. So the hadith needs an explanation, and that explanation needs another explanation, and then that. So it's not a one-stop shop in every single situation, no.
I mean, with that, as many people, their reactions are outward. It's a very external reaction, whether they're going out, protesting, boycotting. Everything is sort of physically, it's tangible, people can see. But my question, Sheikh, is just like you're saying, everyone should take a step back and retreat. That how did the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam deal with this internally on a spiritual level, like dealing with the emotions? If we can't physically go and maybe react in a certain way, how do we deal with it on a personal level? And how did he sallallahu alaihi wasallam do that?
The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to tell the people not to wish for death. لا يتمنن أحدكم الموت. Don't wish for death. And he used to tell us, don't wish to meet the enemy. But if you meet the enemy, if and when, then make dua to Allah for thabat. So when fitna used to happen, like before the battle of Badr, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam went and prayed 2 rakat towards a tree as his sutra. And then he held his hands up and extended them and exaggerated and made dua to Allah Azza wa Jalla and said, oh Allah, if this small group, this small band of people are vanquished, you won't be worshipped on the face of the earth. So everybody looking internally in terms of his connection with Allah. Right now, there's a lot of ikhtilaf going on. So many people are polarized in their points of view. And the ayat of the Quran says, وَاعْتَسِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Be together in holding on to the rope of Allah, and don't be divided. We are divided right now. We are divided. I mean, most people, they have their opinions and they're polarized. And those opinions are bringing about, bad feelings towards people. But anyway, how did the Prophet deal with it? He held on to the rope of Allah, like this ayah said. He mentioned, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that the Quran is the rope of Allah, al-mamdood min as-sama'i al-ard. Istamsiku bihi. The Quran is the rope of Allah that extends from the heavens to the earth. Hold on to it. So how do we hold on to it? Looking at the prophets and the messengers in the Quran, the Ashab al-Ukhdud, the fitna of Musa, the fitna of other prophets and messengers. Nuh, and all of those 950 years giving dawah. Okay, there's 70 years for the brothers and sisters in Palestine. Noah, 950 years. Musa was with his people, as Allah mentioned in the Quran, يَتِيهُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَرْبَعِينَ سَنَةً. They were aimlessly wandering in the wilderness for 40 years after they escaped from Fir'aun. So it's not the first time. So the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to look at the righteous people. And that's why when Aisha and the fitna of the story of the great slander, the story of the great slander, Aisha said, I find solace in what the righteous slave of Allah said, Yaqub, when he said what he said to give him strength. So we have to look at the book of Allah Ta'ala at the time of fitna, when the Prophet was about to die. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he told the people, let Abu Bakr, let him lead the salat. And the women were saying, no, not Abu Bakr. Aisha, not Abu Bakr. He said, you are from the companions of Yusuf, meaning that women was a fitna. Okay. So the Prophet always looked at the book of Allah, looked at making dua, things of this nature. People making muraqabah, it's really important. It's kind of crazy.
Okay.
It's crazy, and I have to say this. You know, in these days in Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of entertainment going on, and a lot of people say, Saudi Arabia, and I agree. But we're watching soccer, we're watching football, we're watching the boxing match, we're watching MMA, we also partying and we're doing things as well. So one set of rules for Saudi Arabia and another set of rules, no. We all have to look at ourselves and how we're behaving. A lot of the people were upset. Your wife doesn't wear hijab. A lot of the people upset. You yourself don't pray Salatul Fajr, not in the masjid. You don't pray Salatul Fajr. So there's a lot of drama going on amongst the community. And it seems like we want a quick fix to the problem when it's not a quick fix.
Sheikh, on that note, do you think obviously it's the way people are, or the lens people are looking at the issue? Some people, like you said, are going in the streets and they are fighting and there's difference because they're looking at it through the lens of politics. This issue is an issue of politics. Some people are saying it is an issue of deen, it's an Islamic issue. Where are you on this position? Is it a political matter? Is it a matter concerning al-Islam? Because it's the reaction I'm getting from the people. And
all of that. We're not secularist in our outlook on life. Inna deen and Islam. The religion to Allah with Allah is al-Islam. And the religion is your way of life. Lakum deenukum waliya deen. To you is your way of life, the way you worship, the way you live, and all of that. And to me is my way. And what was collected by Imam Bukhari, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about Bani Israel, Kanu Banu Israel yasusuhum al-anbiya. Kullu ma halaka nabiyyun khalafu nabi. The Bani Israel, they were being dealt with. Their politics were being taken care of by their prophets. Every time a prophet would die, another prophet will come to take his place, and they were responsible for the siyasa, not the ulama. They do the deen, and the people politics do politics. No, scholars, the prophets and the messengers, they were the ones who took care of the politics. And what is the politics in Islam? Politics in siyasa in al-Islam is not what the Islamic jama'at, the political jama'at, who are very much like Labor, Democrats, Republicans, working with, Machiavellian principles. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, even if he curses Abu Bakr and Umar. No, that's not my friend. So politics in al-Islam is bringing as much good to the community and pushing as much evil off of the community. That's politics in Islam. Bringing as much good, only good, and pushing off all of the evil, of trying to eliminate evil to the best of your ability. So that means a lot. So this issue is a religious issue, it's a political issue, it's a social issue, it's all of that.
Yeah.
It's a military issue. There's jihad right now. What jihad? The jihad of the permissibility of boycotting the products of the people who are hurting the Muslims. And that is mentioned in the books of jihad. There's an issue of aqidah, and that the scholars, Imam al-Bukhari, other scholars, they wrote books, Kitab al-Fitan. So that's another thing. How do we deal with this? Do we just react and we go out and we throw mice and we get upset? Or do we as Muslims go back and we read the book of Al-Imam ibn Kathir about the fitan al-Malahi? Do we go back and we read about those books about the fitan that Imam Bukhari wrote? So as to strengthen ourselves to, be able to deal with what's going on.
Sheikh, and at the forefront of all of this, I would say, I would even describe it as the firing line. It is the heads of the nations, the rulers, and they've been placed at the front and probably getting the brunt of this on the firing line. Is that where they should be? Are we, how can I word this? Are we being fair with the position to the rulers? Do they have a bigger responsibility than us?
The rulers have a big responsibility. They have the biggest responsibilities out of everybody, no doubt about that. And they will be questioned about their positions, Yawm al-Qiyamah. And that's why it's important for Muslims to make dua for their rulers. But making dua for the rulers does not mean that we condone what they're doing. Not at all. We hate what Allah hates, and we love what Allah loves. I don't like the people who come and try to stuff down our throats. We don't make khuruj against the rulers. We don't agitate the people against the rulers. We make dua for the Muslim rulers. But people are trying to make it appear like any and everything that the rulers do, we're supposed to be in tune with that. No, what happened to the understanding of what the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Whoever loves for Allah and hates for Allah, gives to Allah and doesn't give for Allah, faqad istakmala imanuhu. His iman is complete. So whoever does mistakes, sins, the imam, the ruler, the lady, whoever, as long as they are mukallaf and they got responsibility and they have the aql, we hate what people do that's wrong. So the issue with the rulers is part of the complexity of this as well. It's part of the complexity. I am super duper, uber, ultra disturbed when I find the Israeli state, they are getting tens of millions of pounds in financial help from all of these Western countries. They're getting help militarily from all of these Western countries. And when this fitna happened, they got even more. Okay, but that's because they're with each other, kufr. But then when we look at the Muslims, the efforts appear to be nominal. And I'm not one of those people to put my foot in the arena that I have no knowledge. I can't say what people are doing or what they're not doing because I don't know that. And that's what we have to be careful. We become emotional and we want to just condemn the rulers. I got to start with Abu Usama first. I wouldn't want somebody to condemn me. He doesn't know the reality of what I'm dealing with. So they deserve that same right. But overall, our ummah is jacked up.
Yeah.
From the hakim to the mahkum. And that's the reality. Except those that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them ma'soom in this regard.
So you've mentioned yourself, Sheikh, and when we look at ourselves and we reflect on an individual level, do Muslims need to take a stance and not be neutral? Because there's been a lot of pressure placed on celebrities who are Palestinian, not Palestinian, who are from the Arab world, sportsmen, athletes. There's been a lot of people coming out and saying, why have people not taken a stance? What does Al-Islam say about an issue like this and us to be vocal in the public eye of where we stand with Palestine?
You know the ayat, inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. That's applicable to everybody. My life, my death, my sacrifice, my prayers for Allah, Lord of all the worlds. So the brother who allowed us to use this gym, he allowed us to use this gym and he's part of the effort of dawah, whatever this is going to turn into. So every Muslim has to look at himself like that. So if you are an athlete, if you're this, that, it's your responsibility. But I have a principle that I teach my children, and that is the real heroes are the prophets and the messengers, salawatullah wa salamu alayhim, and the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, the righteous people of the Quran. I will never allow my children to look at athletes, magicians, musicians, actors as our examples. Muhammad Ali, point in case, the Mulakim, Muhammad Ali, he's a hero of mine. He's a hero. I love that man because he used his championship belt to further the cause of African Americans. He lost 3 years out of his life as the heavyweight champion of the world, lost a lot of money, and he refused to go to Vietnam to fight a war when African Americans here in America were getting shot down in the street, as they're still getting shot down in the street, still to this day. And he put all of that on the line, all of that. These people today, I be hearing people criticizing DJ Khaled, and people criticizing Muhammad Salah, and people criticizing Fulan and Fulan. Look, it's not everybody's responsibility to put their voice out there. You can't make it wajib that it's everybody's job to do that. But each Muslim has to get in where he fits in to do something about his religion. And most of these guys are punks and chumps anyway. They're not like Muhammad Ali. He's a different cloth. But even Muhammad Ali, he's an entertainer. So I'm going to love him with filters. Muhammad Ali used to say, I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. I don't have time to get into what he meant by that. Maybe he meant he was the greatest boxer. That's what I think he meant. But that's a word you shouldn't say. Yeah. Muhammad Ali used to make jokes that were not Islamically correct. I'm so fast, he would say. I'll be in the bed. I could get out of the bed, turn the light off, get back in the bed. I could get out of the bed, turn the light off, get back in the bed. Even God doesn't know what happened. I reject that type of joke. I won't laugh at that kind of joke. So I have enough sense to say, as a Muslim, I don't accept that. Muhammad Ali did this, Muhammad Ali did that. Some other actor or footballer, he has a girlfriend. We're not following those people. Never follow these people. And this is one of the biggest problems and challenges for African Americans. Who are our leaders? African Americans. LeBron James? LeBron James is no leader for me. Our leaders are people who play basketball, people who kick footballs around. We have to look at people who are qualified to be leaders, starting out with the Nabi of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the righteous people of the religion. But looking on a societal level, we have to look at the people who know what they're doing. Intellectuals, people who are, mutakhassisun. As for waiting for these athletes many times just want money, but not always, not always. I saw and read a thing, and I don't know much about soccer, football. There was this cat, his name was Anwar Ghazali or Ghazi. Anwar Ghazi. He lost his livelihood and he took a position because of this. Yeah. He lost his livelihood. But you're not going to see that. And I'm not saying people should do that. It's not wajib for everybody to come out and put their name out there and this is what I believe. But I think when you find people like Floyd Mayweather, this ignorant person, but he sends his private jet over to Israel to give them some food. Well, if you're a Muslim and you're in the public's eye and you hang out with Floyd Mayweather and you take pictures with him, I would think that you would have some ghaira, something that caused you to say, I got to be better than this guy. Yeah. So don't wait for these people. Don't wait for these athletes or these musicians. Don't wait for them. Some of them, they're worth their weight in salt, but most of them are a waste of time.
SubhanAllah. And final point, Ustad, that we are in a collective effort together in whatever way we can support and aid Palestine and even work together for Al-Jannah together. But that comes with a question that people are asking, can I put my creedal difference to the side? Can I put it to the side if I believe a certain doctrine, if I believe in a certain creedal matter that differs with my brother or sister, for the time being to come together for the greater picture of supporting the Muslimin at large? Can we cooperate, and to what extent can we cooperate together?
Well, I would say never put your creedal differences to the side. Always keep your aqidah nusb aynaik right in front of you. Don't put it in your pocket and don't let someone hold it. Don't hang it up anywhere. The Prophet told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Addu alayha bin nawajid." Hold on to your religion with your molars. That was his way of articulating the importance of being tenaciously upon what you believe. Don't put it to the side. And I know it was just a figure of speech that you were saying, but I want to bring that point home. I will never, ever, ever work with someone who calls my mother, my biological mother, out of her name. I will never work with you. It's not going to happen because that's my mother. What about Aisha, radiyallahu anha? And this is one of the big problems about what Palestine is all about. This stuff is happening. Part of it is because of the creeds that we all have, the way the Muslims are understanding and practicing the religion. But overall, because there are different groups of Muslims out here, like in Palestine, we're not going to be arguing about what we differ in as it relates to aspects of the religion, whether they are issues that are from the usul or the furu'. Why? Because it's a case of life and death. It's a war, a conflict of Islam and kufr. It's not time for that. And this is what the scholars of the past were upon, and that's why they used to be together with people who they didn't agree with necessarily. Great scholar of Islam is Sheikh Imam Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi. He made jihad with Ayyub, with Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, and there are differences in the Hanbali creed and the Ash'ari creed. Ibn Taymiyyah, people have differences. Yeah. Everybody is not going to be on the same page in these situations. So this was one of my calls, because I'm going to tell you something, Akhi Sami. I was distressed when I saw some of these brothers not reading the room, coming off as if they stand with the zalama, the fasaqa, from the kuffar and from the Muslims. Why are you coming off like you stand with the oppressors, brother? Trying to make it, justify what, this person is doing because he's in this position. No, we reject that stuff. And just as we reject that, we reject what the non-Muslims are doing as well. So we have to be able to read the room and know how to pick our spots. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that we should placate and hide the truth. I'm not saying that. But the ayat is clear. Call to the way of your Lord with hikmah. That's why it's not always a one-stop short. A one-stop short. Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah. Hikmah may necessitate you be quiet, you talk, you smile, you frown, you be upset. Hikmah is just putting things in the right place, knowing what to say, how to say it, when to say it, who to say it to, and all of those things. So we won't put our creedal differences aside. There are some people I will never work with. I'll be specific, as a matter of fact. I'll never ever work with Hassan Nasrullah. I would never work with, because of what he says. I would think something is wrong with me if I were to try to sit down and cooperate with a person like that, because of the khubth and the shar of what he's saying. I'm going to call my mother, my biological mother, out of her name and describe it. And someone can't understand why I won't work with that. I will never work with them. And this is the folder that, and the complexities of what we're dealing with right now.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for that insight. Just a final point, not a question, but what's summarized, I know you've touched on it earlier, what summarized piece of advice would you give to the youngsters? Now, we're in the gym today, and we obviously want to make sure that the message gets out to the youngsters living in the UK on a daily basis, feeling this pressure on their shoulders, feeling stressed about the whole scenario of Palestine, the youth in America and in Europe at large. What summarized advice would you give all those watching?
To have no doubt about Allah. We have to know our religion, and we have to know the importance of sabr and what's connected to sabr. We have to know the importance of al-yaqeen. We have to have a good opinion of Allah. We have to look at ourselves as youngsters and realize we don't know very much, and our experiences are not that, it's not that wide. So you have to take it easy and don't be arrogant. This is one of the big challenges for Generation Z. They think they have to be heard about everything. You don't have to be heard. You don't have to be heard. When things used to happen during the time of the companions, it was the major companions who used to talk about it and deal with it. And the Prophet mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-barakatu ma'akabirikum. The blessings are with your elders, your scholars, and the people who have experience and they are qualified and competent. So I think the brothers need to relax, have a good opinion about Allah. وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَيَسْتَخْلِفَنَّهُم فِي الْأَرْضِ. Allah has promised those from amongst you who believe and you do righteous deeds that He'll give you establishment in the earth. That means you have a role to play. Play your role and practice your religion. Practice my religion. The Shabab practice their religion. And the last thing I want to mention, being in this ring right here, is I find that, people are saying, we boycott. Okay, let's boycott. But I would like to challenge the Shabab who go overboard in soccer, football. I'm an athlete. When I was young, I liked all American sports. Football, basketball, baseball. I love those sports. All right. We've seen in this country how some of these football clubs have dealt with that brother, Anwar Ghazi. Fired, kicked him off, lost his job. There was another guy, he had season tickets for 15 years. And he went to the game, he had a flag. They threw him out of the stadium, him and his family, and suspended his season tickets. There was another Pakistani kid playing football, something Chowdhury. He just wrote a Instagram text or something and said from the land to the sea.
Yeah.
And they threatened him. So they showed us. It's like Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick in America, they were taking a knee. They were not against the United States Constitution. They weren't against the flag. They said, we're going to take a knee to raise the consciousness of the society in America that African Americans are being, patrolled differently. And we saw what happened. So I would like to challenge the youngsters in this country. We love sports so much. An American here. Why don't we start boycotting and stop watching this stuff while our brothers are being slaughtered? Don't tell me Saudi Arabia. Why don't we, all of us, stop watching soccer and football? Someone hears that and says, that man done lost his mind. He's crazy. No, we're gonna throw, I prefer to throw mice and Mickey D's and Keithley. There are 3 young brothers, 3 people, I don't know, young or what. I don't want them to say I know who it was. They had bakalavas on, and they were breaking up the windows of the Starbucks. This is not da'wah Allah. This is destruction, and this is not what is permissible. But let us put our mouths or our money where our mouths are. And that's what the Prophet used to say that Allah sent to his people. وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ أُخَالِفَكُمْ إِلَى مَا أَنْهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ. I don't want to prohibit you guys from something, stop you from doing something, and I go and do it. So I'm telling people protest, or not protest, boycott. But I don't like Starbucks. So it's easy for me to boycott. I don't eat Mickey D's. It's easy for me to boycott Mickey D's. But sports, watching the NFL on Sunday, the NBA, that's a bit more difficult. So that's my challenge to the Shabab right now.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. Brothers and sisters, very important words, inshallah ta'ala. We want to tell you to support the channel, inshallah ta'ala, to listen to our weekly podcasts. Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. I want to thank Jazakallah khair to Abu Usama for joining us, alhamdulillah, on this Sunday night in the gym. Inshallah, we hope you all listen with an attentive ear and take some reminder back, some benefit. Inshallah, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to alleviate the burdens of our brothers and sisters in Palestine. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them a nasr, a victory, inshallah. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower mercy and rahmah on those who have passed away and to make easy for them their affairs. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullah khair for watching, inshallah. We'll catch you on the next episode. Assalamu alaikum.